Hi. Okay, so this is going to be a sort of general, flying by the seat of my pants, not scripted sort of video about depression and probably more on the end of chronic depression that's been resistant to medications and things that help in my experience, and just the experience of not really knowing what will help and how to kind of keep yourself going even when that's the case, which can feel incredibly disheartening and for me is very uncomfortable. So it's like the worst thing. It's like a cruel joke, kind of. Like, I'm gonna light a cigarette. That's one of the ways I deal that's not totally healthy. It's like a cruel joke where you feel hopeless and horrible about everything, and then the thing that's supposed to help that everybody turns to, which generally is like psychotherapy and medication, a combination of both, doesn't work. And that just adds to the despair of the experience. So the reason I am making a video about this today is because I haven't made a video in a while and I haven't known what to talk about really. I'm still doing fairly well as far as behaviors go, meaning I had a couple slips a couple weeks ago, but since then no behaviors, and that's really awesome for me to be able to pull myself out of it like that. But I have been incredibly depressed, which is not new for me at all. May predate the eating disorder, which was a long time ago, but has certainly gotten worse over the years. So let's see. So the last few days I've been noticing myself, sorry, this sitting in a dress thing is different for me. That's something else that I'll get to, wearing a dress, but so the last few days I've been feeling progressively more depressed, and it's funny because I forget that it's a pattern for me, and sometimes I still doubt that it's a pattern for me. I still believe that it's just how I feel in the world, which is not helpful. But so it's gotten just a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse. I'm seeing a new therapist at my facility, and she seems like intelligent and kind and smart, and intelligent, kind, and like she could be helpful. But she's the DBT person, and she's just kind of immediately jumped into logging stuff and stuff like that, which is fine. And but I think I do need a minute to just sort of like slow down and build a little bit of a relationship, just so that, I don't know, so the therapy like works and feels a little less awkward. So I'll talk to her about that, but and I'm sure it'll just sort of naturally evolve over time. But I guess that's resulted in I haven't had, like, when I go into therapy, if I've been feeling depressed, I'll usually say it, but we've been kind of like structured about things, so I haven't really had an opportunity over the last few days or the last week or so to go in to a therapy session and be like, hey, I'm really not feeling so great, I'm feeling really hopeless. And so this morning I met with my psychiatrist, and we were meeting for, I mean, obviously just to check on that, but also I am going to be starting a medicine for ADHD, inattentive subtype or whatever, because there's hyperactive and inattentive, and what we're thinking I have is inattentive. So I did actually go and get some testing done for this. It's not just prescribing. And the testing was sort of questionable, but the woman who is an expert, she's a specialist in this, who tested me and then reviewed the test results, thinks that there were some areas that I tested dramatically low in and worryingly low in, and those two were reaction time, which is really bad for like driving and processing things and studying, and that's been something that I've, you know, and visual memory. The rest I tested low, average, and then there were two that I tested really high in, so those were verbal things, which is not news. So So she thinks that I may have had ADD or ADHD, I guess they're now calling it all ADHD, since I was a child, particularly given the symptoms that I was exhibiting as a child that my mother noted and teachers noted and everything, but that I may have learned to cope with it enough that it's not as severely impacting my ability to function, but that it's still showing up in these pretty serious ways. And I don't need to go into all of why we went ahead and got this testing done, but so I'm going to be starting a medicine for that tomorrow. I do hope that that will help me feel more organized and able to process things and remember things, and I think that'll help me with being able to like process and stay focused and remember things from my recovery and kind of keep on top of things, maybe be a little more responsible in that way. So there's that, and then she's going to go ahead and make a consultation appointment for me with a Duke psychiatrist, I guess, who might assess me to see if they think that it might be wise for me to undergo ECT or TMS. And TMS is transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is like another newer sort of alternative treatment for depression that's not medication, and I don't understand. It's like they use magnets to stimulate the nerves in the brain. I'm not sure. And then ECT, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, is basically inducing brief seizures, which seems to impact depression, as well as a variety of other mental illnesses that have been treatment refractory. So I am open to that. I know that there are some people who experience primarily the worst symptom seems to be memory loss as a result of ECT, but I think once you reach a certain point, it's judging whether you think that the benefits could be worth more than the possible side effects. And at this point, I think it would. I think that sometimes in my videos I can be kind of lighter hearted about things, or not delve obviously into the most personal of details. Sorry, I have this like one piece of hair that's really bothering me. But the depression has been pretty deep and pretty chronic and pretty severe and affecting for me in my life and my ability to feel like I can get better. It also is kind of dangerous right now in my early recovery to feel so hopeless. I think that had I not been in a higher level of care, I might have been in some trouble this week. So as far as just taking care of myself, and so I'm open to that. I'm open to alternatives. There's a part of me that is just kind of convinced that treatments of any kind won't work for me, which is very like hopeless thinking, and hopefully the treatment will help with that. So anyway, how I've dealt with it today without any of those alternative forms of treatment, I may have to make a second video for this. I met with my psychiatrist, and it did feel good to just kind of like get it off my chest, and cried a little bit about how hopeless I feel, and yeah, and then I had a pass, and I'm on my pass, clearly, my parents' house. I'm gonna make a second video.